In the middle 1990s, there was an interesting book published by a woman who is now a historical or history teacher emeritus from the City University of New York by the title of On Looking into the Abyss. And in her book, Dr. Gertrude Himmelgarn lamented the fact that there seems to be in our day and time a complete absence of a sense of reality being based upon, or an understanding of reality being based upon a fundamental truth. In her book, she speaks about the fact that some of her fellow historians oftentimes will approach history as if penning it from their own personal observations and their own opinions, that form of doing history is equally as valid as what historically we've known to be the historical enterprise. In this particular approach, the individual subject basically is the one who is the author of history itself. We've seen this particular approach and the way in which it's had a very negative effect upon our culture in a work like the Da Vinci Code, which ostensibly was presented to be a fiction, and yet the author would ultimately try to convince people of the reality of what he perceived to be the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and the church as someone who would cover up this truth. In such an approach, truth itself is set aside for subjective opinion. This overly individualized and overly subjectivized approach to understanding what is real and true and good creates for us as a people a dead-end path with regard to obtaining any kind of true security, true understanding when it comes to moral values. And for this reason, the church is very clear on the basis of moral values in a natural law, a law that is impressed upon our human conscience, a law that has God Himself as the author. Consequently, for us as a Catholic people, we approach the issue of what is good and true not from the perspective of some kind of popularity poll, not in terms of some kind of an opinion research effort, but rather we approach the issue of what's good and true from the realization that there are fundamental truths that are placed within the heart of humanity by God Himself. Such an approach, it seems to me, offers to us a great sense of comfort, a great sense of hope. For if truth and good is ultimately to be defined by every individual in some kind of a subjective sort of a way, then it would seem that there would be no possibility of discovering fundamental truths and good which serve as a necessary foundation for life. And so the Church, with all of her wisdom and experience, continues to insist, regardless of the fact that the world might not be anxious to receive the teaching, the Church continues to insist on the fact that humanity's relationship is governed by inherent natural law, which is God's gift to humanity, and such law is to govern the relationship between ourselves and God and ourselves among one another.